Talking about motorbikes, Ian says, morning, motorbikes should pay for parking and congestion charge as they are a menace on the road. They think they own the road and they have the right to break the highway code.
Now, we should say that's a text that's coming from Ian. If you're a biker or a scooter user and have a different view, give us a call. If you're taking part in tonight's planned demonstration in Westminster, starting, I think, in Golden Square at about 5:45 p.m. tonight, give us a call, 0207 224 2000, because it's expected hundreds of demonstrators will be turning up to protest against the continuation by Westminster Council of the £1 a day parking charge for motorbikes in Westminster. It was £1.50. It's going down to £1. They still say, many of the protesters, it's still £1 too much.
Let's go over to Golden Square, Anna O'Neill's out there, near Piccadilly. Hello, Anna.
Hello, Joe. Hello, Paul.
Morning,
Anna. Morning. We've got about 8 or 9 people now that have turned up, well ahead, about 12 hours ahead of the actual planned demonstration this afternoon and evening, which hopefully they say that thousands of people, in their opinion, are going to turn up and protest down at City Hall in Westminster. And I've got some of those bikers here with me right now. I've got Thierry, first of all. Now, Thierry, you're French, and you tell me this would never happen in France. Why not?
No, it's impossible. The French would never allow such a tax.
Why not? Is that because more people in France own motorbikes and therefore it's less niche, more people are being support of you?
No, we just stand up for our rights, and it wouldn't be allowed. Simple as that.
And Trevor, you're a Westminster resident. Are you in favour of these bike parking taxes?
Absolutely not. As a resident, we're completely against the introduction of this tax. Simply because we'd much prefer to have our streets in the borough with two-wheel vehicles and not four-wheel vehicles.
OK, well, Warren Djanogly, you're the chair of the No to Bike Parking Tax campaign. Now, you've given me this document here. It's from Westminster City Council. It's from their legal advisor, isn't it? And it talks about what you were just saying, Paul, that the parking charge used to be £1.50, and on the 20th of May it was decided that it should have to go down to £1. And I've got the actual wording here. It says the Cabinet Member for City Management on the 20th of May 2009 decided that the charges should be reduced with the intention that the City Council should no longer make a surplus from the scheme. I gleaned from that they were making a surplus from the scheme, but Warren, you must be glad that you've managed to get the parking charges reduced at least.
Well, we're glad to a certain extent, but we really want this completely eradicated. You can see by the document you've just read there, if they're not making a surplus, who are the beneficiaries of this? At the end of the day, the only beneficiaries are Verus, the people who are collecting the money, because there's no surplus, there's no benefit to the residents, there's no benefit to the council. If it's just to pay for the cost of implementing the scheme, why bother having the scheme in the first place?
Warren, it's Paul Ross here. Can I just ask a question, though? We heard from Anna earlier on, and I'm sure she'll correct me if I got this wrong, but Anna was saying earlier on that something like more than 1,000 new bike parking spaces and scooter parking spaces have been made available, so that cost has had a direct benefit to you and other bikers, surely.
Jonathan, sorry, Paul.
Call me what you like, baby.
Easy mistake.
Paul, how much do you think it would cost to paint a line in the road? Because that is the true cost.
You've got over 1,000 more spaces then on. You're not answering the question, matey.
There's no cost. That's what I'm trying to say. The cost is absolutely negligible. All the costs that they are publishing for providing these extra spaces is actually purely putting in the till system.
So you've got the extra spaces though, but you're not acknowledging that at all. They've done what they set out to do. They've given you a better service.
It's not a service, Paul. It's a facility. There's no
they've given you a much
cost.
better facility.
It's an important
they've increased
point
the spaces by something like a third.
Yes, but it's a facility. It's not a service. There's no ongoing costs. They've raked in over £3 million towards the so-called provision of these 1,000 extra spaces. They're also brought in 400 car club spaces. So imagine if we had those 400 spaces, how many more bikes?
Over 1,000 though.
Over 1,000?
You've got over 1,000 more spaces.
Yes, but I say, how many spaces could go into a car space? You can 400 to car clubs.
Hang on, let me just butt in here. Stay there. Let's bring in Mark in Highbury. Hello, Mark.
Good morning.
Go on, you have your say.
Well, I'm a cab driver, and I truly believe that it's being taxed by Westminster Council. I mean, people don't seem to understand the highway code as well, and this is other cab drivers. You know, motorcycles are allowed going in and out of traffic. It's called filtering. You know, and the reason that when they introduced a congestion charge, which was called, which as far as I'm concerned is just a tax. So, sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, carry on. Be quick.
It was, the bikes were sold, people bought bikes because they were told you won't have to pay the congestion charge and you'll be able to pay. I mean, I think, I don't have the figures to hand exactly, but the council makes an obscene amount of money from parking. Something like £86 million a year. they subsidise that by having, lower council tax, but it's just unfair.
Let's see if Warren wants to respond to that.
I do want to respond to
right.
that because it's well known that councils are not allowed to use money raised from parking for any other reason other apart from transport related things. So to say that people are getting reduced council tax as a result of it is nonsense. They're not allowed to do it by law.
I was going to say, Warren, just one final thing. A couple of the listeners have been saying today that motorcycles are a hazard. Do you accept that some motorcyclists really don't use the road correctly, and that might be why some of these people don't support you today?
Motorcyclists don't. Think about cyclists. Motorcycles don't jump red lights. Motorcycles don't ride on pavements. Motorcycles are the most vulnerable whilst being the most efficient form of transport. And to suggest that the majority of motorcyclists are a hazard is absolutely ridiculous. They're no more of a hazard than cars or any other road user, but as everybody knows, motorcycles are the only real solution to congestion and pollution, and I'd like to hear any argument back on that.
Well, you could say as well, one, that improved public transport would be an equally valid solution to it and less environmentally polluting. However, we did say earlier on in the show, and thank you very much for joining us this morning, Warren Djanogly there, we did say this morning that we believe the vast majority of motorcycle riders and scooter users, as with most motorists, are law-abiding. There is an irresponsible minority, sadly, in every one of those groups, but the majority, I think, are responsible.
Keep your calls coming on that one. 020 722 42000. I must say, as a car driver, I resent the fact they're going to take my car parking spaces for motorcycle. But it's like war out there, isn't it? There's only a limited amount of space in this metropolis, and we're all fighting over it, whether we're travelling in it or parking in it.